It's time for a special edition of House to Home. House to Home Senior Living is a special series to offer help and direction to those facing that next stage in life or those family and friends helping. House to Home Senior Living is brought to you by our friends at Rada Paint with support from Smooth Transitions and Orchard Crest Retirement Community. Here's your House to Home Senior Living host, Clyde Hawsey.
Welcome to House to Home Senior Living. I'm Clyde Hawsey. You know, we did one show with Deanne with Smooth Transitions, and she gave us some great stepping pads, shall we say, through the water. And right now the water seems to be getting deeper, Deanne. I went home from the input, and I want to first say thank you because you began to make me feel that I'm not alone in my feelings that I'm having.
You're right. You are not alone.
I'm not alone. It's the same sidewalk for you and I. So as our listening audience, they're saying, gosh, that somewhat fits a little bit. You know, the last time we were talking about is where do we begin? And the word was downsizing and a smooth transition. I've been trying to semi-retire, and I'm finding excitement in my life. It doesn't quite let me happen as easy as it sounds to retire. My grandkids, they came up and they said, "But Papa, I thought you were retiring." I says, "Yeah, but I had some more to get done yet."
Yes.
And it never ends, does it?
Never ends, no.
Okay. Help me out. What is our next step? We've talked about that we're all in the same boat.
And you have too much stuff.
And I have too much stuff.
I have only found one client in my hundreds of people I have helped with organizing, downsizing, moving, relocation, or aging in place. One client who did not have too much stuff. And this is by their observation, not mine.
Well, my wife continuously says to me, we just got to get stuff cleaned up. We got to get rid of stuff and clutter. And I said, "Carol, I understand, but where do you begin?" And I said, a little step at a time, and have patience with yourself. Am I right or wrong?
Well, let's start with some practical things.
Okay, help me out.
Let's start with asking yourself some questions to know if it's time to downsize. Or, if you're the adult child, you might ask these questions of mom or dad or both. How do you know when it's time to downsize? You don't have to be 65 to downsize.
No.
Wouldn't help if you were 50, and here's the reason why. A lot of times when you downsize, you'll find things that you no longer want and you want to sell. If you don't start selling off the things that you've had as a child or your parents had as a child, if you don't start selling those off by the time you're 50, the pool of people who even know what that object is shrinks so much that the value goes down.
Well, I found something that I thought was very interesting. I was challenging myself. I had a few moments, so I walked around and I started looking at some of the stuff that I thought were treasures. Oh, well, that was 20, 30 years ago. And I'm finding that really the sentimental value, that was back when, okay, well, I've made note of that. Or you take a picture of it and then you can get rid of
Yes.
You can gather the memories and still take it with you.
Yes.
But you don't need the item because who else needs it?
You're right.
You're
absolutely right. So we can do a show sometime on is it trash or treasure? So many of the things that we think are absolute treasures are not. But some of the things that we would throw away, like the box to a Barbie doll from the 50s,
yeah,
don't do it.
Yeah.
But how do you know when it's time to downsize? Ask yourself or some of your parents this. Do you have more than 2 sets of everyday dishes in your cabinet, your kitchen cabinet?
My wife likes to collect dishes, so I won't answer your question.
Do you still have a lot of your adult children's stuff in your home? Clothes, games, artwork?
Yes.
Does your car sit in the driveway because you can't get it in the garage because the garage is full of stuff?
I finally got it in.
Your photo albums are full of albums. Your boxes are full of albums. Your drawers are full of albums. No one views these.
Well, let me share that one with you because I need some help.
Okay.
We have a few large boxes that are family photos.
Yes.
And we live in the country, and I have identified to a couple people in case of a fire, this needs to go.
Okay.
We need to save it.
Oh, okay. I was taking another
The other route.
direction. Well, let me quickly digress here and tell you how I would advise on that. Let's have a show on what to do with thousands of photographs and slides. The first thing that you do is to grab a handful of them, put them out on a table, go through the photographs. If it's just landscape,
Yeah.
what are you going to do with it?
I know.
Pitch it.
Or who even knows who that lady was?
Who
or
is that lady?
Yeah, right. And furthermore,
Who
our
cares?
kids really don't care.
If you know who the person is, keep it and write it on the back.
Yeah.
Then put it in a box, because eventually when you get a box full, a legacy box full, you're going to ship it off and they're going to put it on a DVD. And it's going to be a great Christmas present.
Wow. That's going to save me another spot that I can store some more.
That's
not what I'm after,
And that
but-
leads me to the next. Is there still any room under your beds for more stuff?
You have not been to my home. I keep on telling you that, but you seem to know.
Your collectibles have taken over many flat surfaces. If I
Yeah.
start with a downsizing activity, I usually have to start in the dining room of a home. Why?
It's got a big table.
It has a big table, but we have to start by decluttering the table so we have a place to work.
Yeah, exactly.
And my last question to help you understand if it's time to downsize, the papers in your home office are now filling the files.
Mm-hmm.
They're on top of every surface, and they're piled on the floor.
And I can't get to the desk.
And you can't get to the desk.
I mean, this is clean.
Yes. And do you remember one of the times we talked, we said that 80% of the papers that you have filed you will never look at again?
I know. It's memories.
Yes, but how much of a memory is it if it's just tucked away someplace? Display it well if it's a memory. So I think when you look at this and ask yourself if it's time to downsize, most everyone would say yes. Now, where do we start? What I like to do with a person is to see what their goal is. Are they planning on moving in a year, maybe? If there is, we start with 15 minutes a day. We take a timer, and we set the timer, and we start with the things we can get rid of today.
Well, I'm going to take, and I'm not going to let you get too far ahead here because we're going to be coming up to a break here in about 2 minutes.
Okay.
But I want to tell you something. That is probably one that just hits me at home. I hate to start a project and not complete it. And that may be just allocating the time to finish a project that I started 2 weeks ago and I've not had a chance to get back. You have to set time today to deal with something. Because otherwise, if you don't, you're not getting anywhere, right?
But I'm going to tell you how to limit the time to 15 minutes and finish the project.
Oh boy, I'm telling you, folks, Deanna has got this whole thing laid out for me. It's all I just have to listen and follow the sidewalk down the road, and her and I are going to walk the same walk. So
We are.
we're going to take a quick break here, come back, and how do we accomplish our goals that we can set out in front of us? And I think that's going to be so important. So come back and join us. I'm Clyde Hawsey, and Deanna, we're talking about smooth transitions. So come back and join us. We'll take a quick break.
Okay, when you start part two, just do a 3, 2, 1. It's rolling, so
Okay.
yeah, there's no problem.
Okay. Whenever you're ready.
I'm ready. I'm ready now.
Hold on.
Let
Oops.
her answer once in a while, Clyde.
I need to open.
Okay,
I need to open
go
the
right
show.
ahead. You'll notice this isn't scripted.
Welcome back.
Okay. Welcome back to House to Home Senior Living with Deanne. Smooth transitions, and that's what it's all about. And she's going to give me a smooth transition from before we took the break to where we're going now. Deanne, help me out.
Now, Clyde said he likes to finish a project when he starts it. And this becomes a really good excuse for not starting a project because we don't have time to finish it. We're busy people. So we're going to talk about 15, we'll talk about probably 10 or 15 things that you can get rid of today that will start you on the downsizing journey that you can finish in that 15 minutes.
Okay.
How many of you have a junk drawer?
How about 2?
All right, you have your junk drawer. Face your junk drawer. Find a box that's about the same size as your junk drawer. Open the junk drawer if you can. Many of the times the bottom is falling out because it's too full. I want you to take everything that's in that junk drawer and put it in this box. Make sure that box has a lid. Now, look in that box, look in your junk drawer, and put back in everything that you think you're going to need in the next 30 days. Then I want you to take that box and put it someplace that you'd have to walk to, maybe a bedroom, spare bedroom. Anytime during that 30 days that you want something out of that junk drawer box, go get it and put it back in the junk drawer. At the end of the 30 days, take a piece of tape, put it over that. You can peek in there one more time. Put the tape on it, put it in your car, and take it to your favorite charity. Now, how many items do you think people usually put back in the junk drawer?
All of them.
7 of them.
7?
7.
Really?
You'll find that there are so many things in the junk drawer that should live someplace else,
Okay, now I understand your question. Yes,
or are trash,
true.
or are broken, and you don't have all the parts to repair them. Especially the junk drawers have so many tools in it. When you have perfectly good tool benches, but you can't find the hammer on the tool bench because it's, you know where? In the kitchen junk drawer. Now, the one exception to this, if you have a vintage junk drawer, if you've just inherited Grandpa's home and he has a vintage junk drawer, I've been watching on eBay, and a vintage junk drawer is selling for any place from $45 to $125, the contents of it.
Wow.
So eBay has changed the way we look at getting rid of things. But for the most part, could you empty your junk drawer out in 15 minutes using that method?
Yes, I need to.
Okay. And could you finish that in 15 minutes?
I think with the right frame of mind, yes.
With a timer?
Yes.
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 Okay.
All the above. With
Okay.
a yes.
Something that you can do in 15 minutes, collect all of the vases around the house that came with flowers in them. And you'll probably find 35, 40, maybe even more. Why?
We don't throw them away.
We don't throw them away. But we're still not going to throw them away. We're going to collect them. We're going to put them in a box. We're going to spend 15 minutes doing this. You know where they are. It's not going to take long to do this. Then you're going to keep 2, 3, 4 that you really like. You know what you're going to do with the rest of them? You're going to take them to some nice little florist shop, a little business, a small business that has to buy all of their containers, and you're going to say, here's a gift for you. Use it and have other people enjoy the arrangement that little flower shop makes.
That's a great idea, Deanne. I love that.
Could you gather the vases in 15 minutes? Yes, if you set the timer and work on it.
I have to set the timer.
You have to set the timer.
But Deanne, I got to first find the timer.
Well, you know what? There's probably one on your stove, and if your stove is so cluttered you can't find the timer, we have a problem.
I could go to Alexa, 15 minutes.
Alexa, 15 minutes.
I like it.
I just showed my age with that one. Linens.
Yes.
Open your linen closet and find the mismatched pillowcases, the mismatched towels, the tablecloth for the table you no longer have, the sheets for the bed you no longer have, the pillows you have saved, the bed pillows you've saved because they weren't good enough for your bed anymore. What are you saving them for? For your guests? Remind me not to accept an invitation. What do I do with that? Check with your local shelters and see what they're taking. They may take the towels. They may like the blankets. They may want some of the sheets. Take them to your local shelters.
You know, and what you're calling out, and I have inherited a little bit of a challenge, is that my family has passed away, my mom and dad, but now I still have their stuff, some of their stuff, not all, but now I have my mother-in-law, her stuff,
Yes.
and she is in a senior living and not able to have all of her stuff, and we have a storage unit that has her stuff in it.
Okay.
And I have to tell you something, that I haven't been to the storage unit in 6 months.
See, 6 months times.
Now you understand my
Oh,
challenge.
I
What
know.
do I bring home?
Well, the first thing you do is to find a home for the things that you already have in your home. If it doesn't have a home, it's clutter. If that sack from Ace Hardware that contains the bags for lawn care, if it's still on the floor in the garage, there's a problem. It has to have a home. There's a place for everything, and everything needs to be in its place. Grandma was right. If it doesn't have a place, then it just becomes clutter.
I think that the realization of the word clutter is what we all have to be faced with. And I think that is so important. And then, of course, I come back to the point, my mother-in-law here 6, 8 months ago, we had certain pieces that we brought to her new area that
Yes.
she's living. And all at once, she just didn't identify, so I took it back out because it was too cluttered in the room.
It was, yes.
And we took out some pictures, but we thought that she would enjoy. You know, we all seem to live in the past of what our parents used to be. And our kids needs to realize that as the older I get, I'm not as quick. I'm not the same person. I've been changing. And we need to all understand this relationship, I think. I think that's real important when you're dealing with clutter. Am I correct?
You're correct. And one of the things that children may not recognize is that before the parent gets ready to move on to a retirement community, they've started living in only about 20% of their house.
Really?
That's the 80-20 rule that applies to clothing in the house. So what they saw in that nesting area of their home was what they remember and what they associated with as home. If it was someplace else out in a china cabinet that was in a dining room they never went into, it's not an important part of their life. So concentrate on things that were in that nest around where they pay bills or watch television or listen to music or read books, that nest around their bed on their nightstand next to their
Sure.
bed, and that nest where they have their meals or their coffee or read their paper in the morning.
So we need to begin to identify the nest
The nest.
area, and that, because that's part of where our junk drawer is at.
Yes, it is. It absolutely is in that nightstand or in that
Yeah.
table next to their favorite chair.
And begin to identify, because they are no different than we are.
No.
We all have that nesting part, and that's part of this, shall we say at this point, is clutter.
It is.
But if we can begin to clean, I mean, I looked this morning in our, I don't want to say junk drawer, but it's a pencil drawer. I have so many pencils, I don't know what to do. You came in, I need a pencil. Well, okay, we got one right here, you know?
Yes.
But we function with that. But the point, I don't need 468 of them. I haven't counted them, but I know there's got to be that many. We need to start paring down, is what you're saying, right?
We do.
Okay, Deanne, we have covered a lot of area here, and I'm getting a little bit towards the end of this whole thing. What are the highlights? What do we want to pull together? What are the points here today that we're going to leave with our listening audience as we do this senior living?
The point is, we all have too much stuff.
Okay.
Secondly, we have to get to the point where we see a benefit to having less stuff.
Okay.
And thirdly, we have to determine how we can start getting rid of stuff, taking that first baby step. And that first baby step will put you onto a path of being able to find a place for everything that you're keeping. It's going to help you to determine that you can find what you want. and it's going to help you free up time for things that are more important. So, determining that you do have a cluttering problem, you do want to downsize, you want a plan for downsizing that starts with baby steps, what we talked about today. We could have gone on with those 15 things you can get rid of today, spices, containers, clothes. We can start with little pieces, 15 minutes, and we can make a difference. If you started with just one thing a day, where would you be in a year?
A lot better off
A
than I
lot
am
better
right
off.
now. Yeah. You know, Deanne, I want to ask the question, would you please come back and be sharing with us as we move along, as I move along with my life? Because I know the next time we do the show, I'm going to have to report to you how my clutter is doing, how my downsizing is doing, and I'm going to ask you, the listeners, how are you doing with your downsizing? Because it's all important that we all work as one, and that's why we have Goodwill. We have so many of these other places. We're getting to be that time of the year that they can have more stuff.
They can.
And we have plenty of stuff at our residence, right? Deanne,
Yes.
again, how do we get hold of you one more time, please?
One more time, and I've got one more thing I have
Okay.
to challenge you with. Make this a game. Start with your spices, ladies.
Okay.
If you have cans of spices, unless it's pepper, they stopped putting spices in cans in 1999. Do you really want to use that sage for the Thanksgiving turkey?
Oh, that was good. So,
Smooth Transitions of the Inland Northwest. I'm Seanne Wilfong, owner of Smooth Transitions. Call me, 509-993-3459. Repeating, 993-3459. That's my cell phone. And I'll pick up the phone and I'll answer your questions. There won't be any charge for that. I will consult with you without any charge and just share your stories with me. And let me suggest that if you have a question, call Clyde, give him the question. I'll field questions. I'm a professional stuff manager. I probably have an answer, or we can make up one as we go along.
and folks, Deanne, thank you. And I'm a professional clutterer. I gather stuff, and I don't get rid of stuff. So I'm really going to be needing a lot of help. So I hope that on this House to Home Senior Living, you're beginning to understand that we're going to walk with you, and Deanne is going to kind of give us some nudges along the way. And I have to report back to her next time how I'm doing with my cluttering, getting rid of it, decluttering, size, downsizing. So for now, I'm Clyde Hossie, House to Home Senior Living. We'll see you next time.
House to Home is produced in Spokane, Washington by SpokaneTalksOnline.com, which is solely responsible for its content. Ask Clyde a question, recommend a guest, and watch this program again online anytime at SpokaneTalksOnline.com. House to Home Senior Living is brought to you by our friends at Rada Paint, with support from Orchard Crest Retirement Community and Smooth Transitions. We wish you a great day.
See you tomorrow night, and thanks again for taking care of the painting.
I got this.
Bye.
Weekends are made for painting. Let the experts at Rada Paint take care of you.
Hi. This looks amazing.
Rada Paint, over 80 years of quality, tradition, and trust. Find it in every can.